Good morning. We have a singing backpack. Hold on. Good. All right. Okay, singing backpack mystery solved. Good morning, everybody. It's good to see you on this gray and beautiful Sunday. My name is Jane Rago. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Savannah, working to build a diverse, multicultural, and beloved community. We celebrate the presence and participation of LGBTQI and straight people of all races, genders, abilities, and ethnic and national origins. We welcome you online and on-site, whoever you know yourself to be and wherever you are on your journey. If you're visiting with us today and you would like to introduce yourself, please rise or raise your hand and Abigail will bring a microphone. Does anybody on this side want to say, great?
My name is Hannah. I'm here with my family. We're from Jacksonville, Florida, and we're also UUs.
Welcome. Is there anybody else on that side? Okay. Is there anybody on this side who would like, oh, sorry.
I guess I'm pretty new. This is my second time here. I was here a couple of weeks ago, Andrew, and I guess you'd call us snowbirds. We're here for the winter. So I'm here for a few more weeks.
Great. Welcome. Is there anybody on this side who would like to say hello this morning?
Hi, my name is Hillary, and I'm here with my family, and we're visiting our friend Paul.
Oh, good. Welcome.
Oh, we're here from Oregon.
Wow. Okay. It's good to have all of you with us. Please join us in the social hall after for refreshments following the service. And the social hall is through this door, through the courtyard and in the building there, or go out the front and walk to the right. Follow the crowd or ask Abigail. And the social hall is also where all of our restrooms are as well. There are 2 cards in the back of the pew in front of you that will help us gather information for the good of our community. You can use the rainbow chalice card, and there's a QR code or there's a place to write out your information, and that's where you'll sign up for our newsletter and to receive a welcome letter from our minister, the Reverend Lisa Day. And if you're online, you can contact our administrator through the email that I'll put in the chat. If you would like to share a joy or a sorrow today, please use the card with the red heart and the chalice. If you fill out either of these cards, put them in the collection plate a little later this morning. Thank you. Church announcements are emailed to members and friends every Tuesday and Friday, so check your email for complete details about the following. So, next Sunday, which is a week from today, on March 10th, we will hold our congregational meeting to vote on whether to call the Reverend Lisa Day as our settled minister. The special task force report is now ready and available for you to read, and I highly recommend you do that. It is on page 3 of the newsletter. The absentee ballot is up and working, so you can vote online if you cannot make our meeting next week. And so we will YouTube our service next week, but after the service, we're going to take about 10 minutes, grab a coffee, use the restroom. We're going to come right back here in the sanctuary for an in-person congregational meeting to vote. We will then switch to Zoom instead of YouTube because the Zoom meeting will be for members only. So you'll sign in that way. If you have any questions, please let me know. But we need your vote, and we all need to do this work together. So I'll see you next week. We are looking for volunteers for 2 committees. If you are interested in joining our new reforming Safety and Security Committee, please come and see me after the service or email me. And we are also looking for help with our Pastoral Care Committee. Again, there'll be some information in Ron Hall for you if you'd like to volunteer. And finally, our last Music Mix concert is today, in just a few hours at 3 o'clock. Come hear Up Jump Spring with the Kirk Lee Quartet. You can get your tickets at Eventbrite or at the door. And of course, it's followed with the wine and cheese reception. Okay.
Good morning. Welcome to everyone. By now you know that Millie and I are the co-chairs for the stewardship campaign. In the last few weeks, we've been introducing church committees during our pledging moments. The reason was to show activities that enrich our lives and groups that support the missions of our church, giving us more reasons to support our spiritual home. While we have not been able to feature all the UUCS groups during the campaign, as you know, there are 2 more for me, and we're not going to add any more. It's Lisa. We hope that you have learned many things from hearing these speakers. So today, I would like to introduce our Games and Creative Saturdays crew chiefs, Bill and Jackie Pearson. If you'll come up, please.
Good morning. So we've been running games night and art day, and they're both just chances to come and have fun. Games night is just a chance to come play games like Monopoly or Dominoes or whatever. We've had quite a variety. And games night, art day is also a fun day where you can come and bring your own project to work on, or Bill usually brings something fun for you to try. And both of these are kind of when we can schedule them, so. And I guess that kind of makes us the unofficial Fun Activities Committee, so if anybody else has some fun activities that you'd like to add to our mix, that might be great. Let us know. We can help you set it up. Thanks.
We sponsor perhaps the only UU affiliated radio station in the U.S. I would encourage you to tune in to FM 107.5. Vicki Weeks is a spokesperson and was going to speak today, and unfortunately she called and said, I got a bad cold and I'm not going to spread it. So she said, and you'll have to ask her further about it, there's apparently 2 spots on the board of the WRUU for UU members. So if you're interested in that, I'm sure they could use some additional help. So Vicki Weeks. And finally, enhancing our fellowship hall with beautiful and creative artwork, please give a shout out for Ron Hall Gallery Crew Chief, Brett Hyland.
Thank you. And the genesis of the Ron Hall Art Gallery started after the renovation of Ron Hall. So we thought we have this beautifully renovated hall with its nice wall space. Let's put some nice art up there. And the primary reason is so that you guys have some nice art to look at when you're drinking your coffee after church, or visitors come, or other events that happen in Ron Hall. So that is the primary purpose of it. The second purpose is to give members of the church who are artists a venue to show their art. So we have a lot of amateur artists here who never have that opportunity, so we thought that would be a nice thing to do. If you have contributed art to Ron Hall, would you raise your hand and be recognized? Stacy, I see you. Nicole, Gordon, Sean, thank you very much, all of you. Yes, Lynn, thank you, all of you, for contributing your art. Also, remember that it is for sale, and a percent of those sales goes back to the church, so it is a fundraising effort. So remember, when you buy something from Ron Hall, and the list is on your right as you walk in, a portion of that goes back to the church. So anyway, we do have a new gallery selection coming up soon. You'll get a note about that. It's called Hidden Art, and it doesn't have to be your own art, but it's going to be something that's hidden, like underneath your bed or in your, in your closet. You all have those things that you think the congregation would like, that you'd like to contribute to Ron Hall. It doesn't have to be your own art. It can be anything. I'll send a note out. That will happen in the next month. So thank you very much. And Tom, back to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, each of you who have spoken today. So, we have some special guests today, and it's our Mardi Gras UU royalty. And before I say this, I would like for Ernie Hollingsworth to come over to this side of the church, please. The royalty make up the current president and the past presidents of the church board, who over the years have assisted our ministers in guiding our church forward. Leading the parade today is Diana Churchill, carrying a sign listing the names of the past presidents from 1958 to the president. If she will march across, please, and hold it out for everyone to see. We will make these available later. Diana is also honoring her father, past President Bob Pattison. Following is our hardworking 2023 President, Jane Rago. And following Jane are some of the past presidents who are able to be with us today. Now, we've been shifting around a little bit, and people are showing up or not showing up, so I'm going to fumble my way through here. So we'll start with Joseph Vicerano, Dorothy Holmes, Gordon Matthews, Jessica Levitt Altara, Abby Powell, Martha Weaver, and of course, Ernie Hollingsworth. Please give them all a big hand for what they've done. They sometimes are not recognized by people in the congregation, or at least they are. We forget over a number of years, so today is that opportunity for us to do so. So thank you very much, and if you folks, give them another applause as they march over to the seat over here on the left. Follow Diana. Oh, no. And I have one more who's coming up in the rear, and that's our president-elect. Steve, I'm sorry, I left your name out. It's Steve Hutter, and he will be taking over on July 1, 2024, which is the time in which you're making your pledges for, as we speak. So let's take a moment. Let's move forward. I would be remiss not to take this moment to also thank those of you who are at the heart of our spiritual home. As I call out your name, please stand so that we can show you our appreciation. Now, a lot of these folks are not here today. Megan Dunkelberg, our religious education leader. David Nietzsche, our music director. David. Mark Columbia, our sexton. And I don't believe these folks are here, but Nancy Arterbury, our office administrator. And you have a program today that she's responsible for in our newsletter. And Alex Borwick, our accountant, who, my understanding, was busy last night entering all the pledges into our Own Realm program. So you gave them a round of applause. So I'd like to do one more thing, and I would be remiss not to do this. Our minister and her spiritual guidance, there would be no church. So Reverend Dave, if you would join us up here. Thank you so much. Milton's got to get something for me. Thank you for all you do. And everyone, go ahead and give her applause. And we'll have flowers for you. If y'all will stand right here where they can see you. Thank you, Lisa. Okay, that's good. No, we appreciate it. Millie can take those for you if you would like. We're not going to make you make a speech unless you would like. Later. Okay, all right, okay. You can go ahead. Now, while she's standing there, I'd like our board president, Jane Rago, if she will, come back up. Millie, if you will do this. I'm going to, we're going to share our pledge totals as of this morning, and I haven't checked it in the last 20 minutes, but I'm willing to bet that some more have come in. Reverend Day and Board President Rago, if y'all will move directly in front of the podium, because we want everybody to see on YouTube. Millie, if you will step over that way on the other side of them. We'll go to the other side of Reverend Day. Now I think we got everybody. Okay, so these people have pledged, and we're very excited to report that we have reached almost $150,000. So there's still a little more to go, and I have no doubt that we will reach the final total of $170,000, which is our goal probably by the end of the day. So with that said, please keep those pledges coming in, even though Mardi Gras-styled stewardship campaign and entertainment is coming to an end today. So join us for coffee hour, our Mardi Gras, Millie says I can't say style, flavored coffee hour immediately after our service. So our job is done here, and while I officially declare the Mardi Gras part of the stewardship campaign is closed, please keep the good times rolling. David, take it away, David.
Thank you, Tom and Milne, for such a wonderful stewardship campaign. With the lighting of our chalice, the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith, we enter into sacred time. Our chalice lighter this morning is Chris Carroll. These words are from our own United Statesian philosopher, Henry David Thoreau. As you simplify your life, the laws of the universe will be simpler. Solitude will not be solitude, poverty will not be poverty, nor weakness, weakness.
Money doesn't talk, it swears. A penny saved is a penny earned. A wise person should have money in their head, but not in their heart. I don't care too much for money can't buy me love. For where our treasure is, there our heart will be also. Come, let us worship together. Our hymn of the month this month is number 368, but we're not going to turn to our hymnals. It looks complicated on the page, so we just put the lyrics on the back of the insert, and David will lead us. Please rise in body or spirit.
Well, actually, I thought you wanted me to teach you.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you can just sit for a second.
Okay.
Everybody have the sheet here? Right? All you have to do is repeat after me or sing after me. Sing to the power of the faith within. 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 Lift up your voice, be not afraid. Sing to the power of the faith within. Lift up your voice, be not afraid. Sing to the power of the faith within. And then we'll sing verse 2, 3, and 4 there. And it's always just lift up your voices the same. And now you know the hymn.
Time now for our story. Anyone who would like to see the pictures is welcome to come forward. Here they come. Our story this morning is called A Chair for My Mother. You can sit on the floor or you can sit on the chairs, either one. My mother works as a waitress in the Blue Tile Diner. After school, sometimes I go to meet her there, then her boss, Josephine, gives me a job too. I wash the salts and peppers and fill the ketchups. One time I peeled all the onions for the onion soup. When I finish, Josephine says, "Good work, honey," and pays me. And every time I put half of my money in the jar. There's the jar. It takes a long time to fill a jar this big. Every day when my mother comes home from work, I take the jar down. My mama empties all her change from tips out of her purse for me to count. Then we push all the coins into the jar. Sometimes my mama is laughing when she comes home from work. Sometimes she's so tired she falls asleep while I count the money out into piles. Some days she has lots of tips. Some days she has only a little. Then she looks worried. But each evening, every single shiny coin goes into the jar. We sit in the kitchen to count the tips. Usually Grandma sits with us too. While we count, she likes to hum. Often she has money in her old leather wallet for us. Whenever she gets a good bargain on tomatoes or bananas or something she buys, she puts by the savings and they go into the jar. When we can't get a single other coin into the jar, we are going to take all the money and go buy a chair. Yes, a chair. A wonderful, beautiful, fat, soft armchair. We will get one covered in velvet with roses all over it. We are going to get the best chair in the whole world. That is because our old chairs burned up. There was a big fire in our other house. All of our chairs burned. So did our sofa, and so did everything else. That wasn't such a long time ago. What was left of the house was turned to charcoal and ashes. We went to stay with my mother's sister, Aunt Ida, and Uncle Sandy. Then we were able to move into the apartment downstairs. We painted the walls yellow. The floors were all shiny, but the rooms were very empty. The first day we moved in, the neighbors brought pizza and cake and ice cream, and they brought a lot of other things too. The family across the street brought a table and 3 kitchen chairs. The very old man next door gave us a bed from when his children were little. My other grandpa brought us a beautiful rug. My mother's other sister, Sally, made us red and white curtains. Mama's boss, Josephine, brought pots and pans, silverware, and dishes. My cousin brought me her own stuffed bear. Everyone clapped when my grandma made a speech. "You are all the kindest people," she said, "and we thank you very, very much. It's lucky we're young and can start over." After supper, Mama and Grandma and I stood in front. That was last year, but we still have no sofa and no big chairs. When Mama comes home, her feet hurt. "There's no good place for me to take a load off my feet," she says. When Grandma wants to sit back and hum and cut up potatoes, she has to get as comfortable as she can on a hard kitchen chair. So that is how come Mama brought home the biggest jar she could find at the diner, and all the coins started to go into the jar. Now the jar is too heavy for me to lift down. Uncle Sandy gave me a quarter. He had to boost me up so I could put it in. After supper, Mama and Grandma and I stood in front of the jar. "Well, I never would have believed it, but I guess it's full," Mama said. On my mother's day off, we took all the coins to the bank. The bank exchanged them for $10 bills. Then we took the bus downtown to shop for our chair. We shopped through 4 furniture stores. We tried out big chairs and smaller ones, high chairs and low chairs, soft chairs and harder ones. Grandma said she felt like Goldilocks, trying out all the chairs. Finally, we found the chair we were all dreaming of, and the money in the jar was enough to buy it. We called Aunt Ida and Uncle Sandy. They came right down with their pickup truck to take the chair home for us. They knew we couldn't wait for it to be delivered. We set the chair right beside the window with the red and white curtains. Grandma and Mama and I all sat in it while Aunt Ida took a picture. Now Grandma sits in it and talks with people going by in the daytime. Mama sits down and watches the news on TV when she comes home from her job. After supper, I sit with her, and she can reach right up and turn out the light if I fall asleep on her lap. Thank you for listening. We're going to sing a little song, and you can go back and sit with your family.
As we work in community to commit to each other all year, as you have all done recently with your pledges, and as we work in community to raise money for projects, as we have all done recently with our Moonlit Mardi Gras auction, so too must we work in community to sustain our daily, weekly, monthly needs as they arise, to fix parts of our buildings, to pay for our heating and cooling, and to share as we can with our larger community in Savannah. Please remember at this time, if you have a joy or sorrow, to place that in the basket as well. If you want to donate via debit or credit card, please use the QR code on the back of the order of the service, and you can also go to our website and click the donate button. Mailed checks are always welcome, and thank you for your generosity. we have not received any joys or sorrows to be shared aloud today, but let us hold all of our joys and sorrows unspoken and in our hearts as we join together in the responsive reading found in your order of service. Sorrow is everywhere. Yet joy is reborn. As we mourn together, so we celebrate together, and offer thanks, that we are not alone. So may it be now and in all the days to come.
Let us continue in a spirit of meditation. Three days ago, the keepers of human-marked time gave us an extra day. A week from today, here in most of this country, they will take from us an hour of sleep. The first is a correction necessary to sync our calendars with celestial time. The second is a ruse, desirable or not, to align our hours of work and leisure with hours of sunlight. We follow their dictates, these keepers of human-marked time, teaching our children the days of the week, the months of the year, adding days to our calendar, adding and later subtracting hours to and from our clocks. Our forebears entered into contract with those keepers of human-marked time, and without much thought, we renew the contract year after year. Observing human-marked time rather than pure celestial time keeps chaos contained, allows us to meet one another at appointed hours, do business on predictable schedules, play and labor late into the evening when the days are warm and sunlight plentiful. The contract with keepers of human-marked time serves us well. Still, it is good to remember that the contract is a human construct. Neither the sun nor the earth are party to it. The stars and planets are not signatories. They abide, fixed, rotating, revolving, caring not that we order our lives according to their cycles and seasons. They abide, obeying their own laws, caring not that subtle irregularities too tiny for us to perceive would eventually wreak havoc in our pursuit of orderly lives. They abide, the stars and the planets and the suns, and we abide. And hour follows hour, day follows day, not one extra, not one lost. Time is, and we within it, as it has been and will be. Amen. Our first reading this morning, a poem titled Accounting by Natasha Trethewey. She was a two-term poet laureate of the United States, and among other honors, the inaugural Kavakanum Poetry Prize for the best first book of poetry by an African American. Nights too warm for TV, we're flung outdoors to the porch. Citronella candles scenting the space between us, our faces aglow in gold light. She crowds the card table with coin banks and abacus, $5 and $10 rolling paper, our tidy ledger. I count, line the coins in neat rows, the abacus clicking out our worth, how much we can save, stack up against the seasons, winter coming. Her tightly braided hair turning white, her hands quick, filling the paper casings like homemade sausages. There's money in the bank downtown, but this we'll keep at home, buried in jars beneath the house, the crawl space, filling up, packed solid as any foundation. In our second reading, the poem Mergers and Acquisitions by Edward Hirsch, who was educated at Grinnell College in the University of Pennsylvania. Beyond junk bonds and oil spills, beyond the collapse of savings and loans, beyond liquidations and options on futures, beyond basket trading and expanding foreign markets, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, the Standard & Poor's Stock Index, mutual funds, commodities, beyond the rising tide of debits and credits, opinion polls, falling currencies, the signs for LA Gear and Coca-Cola Classic, the signs for US Steel and General Motors, high-grade copper, municipal bonds, domestic sugar, beyond FactSet and collateral buildups, beyond mergers and acquisitions, leveraged buyouts, hostile takeovers, beyond the official policy on inflation and the consensus on happiness and selling, getting and spending, the market stalled and the cost passed on to consumers, beyond the statistical charts on prices, there is something else that drives us. Some rage or hunger, some absent smoldering like a childhood fever, vaguely remembered or half perceived, some unprotected desire, greed that is both wound and knife, a failed grief, a lost radiance. Here end the readings. Will you please rise in body or spirit for hymn number 100? We'll sing verses 1 through 3. I've got peace like a river.
Soul.
I'm glad that Tom didn't pound his staff to declare the stewardship drive over, because as you can see, it's continuing. I was spending a few days with my friend Ruth when Ruth's cousin came by for the afternoon with her kids and one of her daughter's friends. As I remember it, cousin told Ruth and me that she liked to bring the daughter's friends into situations where she'd meet women like us, independent and self-sufficient, because the friend's mom was known to regularly tell her daughter, without a hint of irony, it's as easy to marry a rich man as a poor man. Cousin and Ruth and I tutted in judgment of the other mother and in concern for her daughter, who we felt was being encouraged to sell her love. I think about that afternoon often. I think about the three of us sitting on the dock of Ruth's familial lake cabin, a bare-bones 1950s cabin that hadn't been updated much in the ensuing half-century, but a private lake cabin nonetheless. Ruth and cousin were married, not to rich men, but to good men with solid jobs. Ruth and I have 3 master's degrees between the two of us. I don't know cousin's exact level of education, but she's a teacher, so she has at least an undergraduate degree. All 3 of us had careers we'd chosen and in which we felt fulfilled. How shamefully easy it was for us to sit in judgment of that absent single mother. How easy for us to declare the supremacy of love over money. Because we had money and the things money can buy. Inherited wealth of the solidly middle-class variety, stability, education, perhaps most of all, options. While that mother's message, as easy to marry a rich man as a poor one, is far removed from the messages I try to give my daughter, and is, I believe, problematic on many levels, my judgment those many years ago was harsh and ill-informed. What did I know of that family's circumstances and experience? And what did that mother know that I didn't? She probably knew or believed that money changes everything, that money is magic. It is easy and not untrue to argue that money isn't anything, that money can't buy love, that many of the best things in life are free, and all of the other things we say to comfort ourselves when we don't have as much money as we'd like, or when we observe others with an abundance of cash and luxury items and feel just the tiniest bit envious. Money is not magic, we insist. At most, it only changes superficial things. However, it is also true, and not quite as easy to say in our capitalist society, that just about every experiment in universal basic income demonstrates that regular cash payments, even quite modest ones, given without restriction on their use, allow recipients to pay off debts and lift themselves and their families out of poverty. Perhaps money, like magic, does change everything, quite despite all the years of pithy statements and overly simple wisdom we have absorbed. As soon as we allow it to be more complex than Bob Dylan or Ben Franklin or Jonathan Swift or the Beatles or even the Gospel of Matthew proclaimed in our opening words, as long as we allow it to be complex, it's not one or the other. Not magic, not magic. Or with fewer negatives, money is both magic and not magic. Context matters. Individual circumstances matter. Enough money at the right times changes a lot of things we can't dismiss as inconsequential. Hunger transformed into well-nourished bodies. Poor credit into good credit, into reliable transportation. lack of medical care into preventative care, adequate treatments into good health, eviction notices into mortgage payments, dreams into tuition payments. But money doesn't transform loneliness into connection, terminal into curable, estrangement into reconciliation, discontent into satisfaction, drought into sufficient rainfall, mourning into rejoicing, heartbreak into true and lasting love. Add money and everything changes. Add money and nothing changes. It's magic. It's not magic. As it goes with individuals and families and money, so it goes with churches and money. Sufficient money makes all the difference, especially after a period of financial insecurity. Church leaders breathe sighs of relief. Physical plant upkeep and improvements kick into high gear. Tech enters the 21st century. Programs are revived, expanded, and created. Grants may be made to community partners to serve folks living at the margins of society. But if a church is wounded, if members don't trust their leaders, if members are unkind to one another, if traumatic experiences deep in the church's past have been buried but not healed, then no infusion of cash alone will restore the church's spirit and bring about congregational health and vitality. In the past 3 years or so, church leaders here at UUCS have worked hard to restore financial stability after the hits of the pandemic shutdown and the stressors of ministerial transition. That work gave them confidence to offer me a full-time contract beginning back in August 2022, even though Reverend Susan's interim contract had been part-time. Last year's record-breaking stewardship drive brought in enough money for those sighs of relief I mentioned a moment ago, allowed us to hire a lead nursery care provider and an assistant for our youngest, and made the fund trustees feel secure enough to give the go-ahead for new and upgraded HVAC and other projects. Meanwhile, the spirit of our church is strong, deep, lively, and bold. Visitors are becoming regular attendees and some signing the book. The choir outnumbers the chairs in the loft some Sundays. Our children and their parents love religious education. Our social justice ministries, all 4 of them, offer us more opportunities to help heal the world than any one of us could take up. New members have launched new offerings, as we heard today, such as game nights and art Saturdays, engaging our creativity and deepening connections along the way. The general health of our congregation, on the heels of last year's amazing pledge total, might lead us to believe that this is one of those times and circumstances in which additional money won't change much of anything. That we don't need the magic of a strong finish to this year's stewardship campaign in order to transform uncertainty into possibility or faltering programs into vital ministries. But this is precisely a situation in which money is magic of a whole nother level. The board has plenty of ideas for spending money, from adding a paid part-time tech position to our staff, to budgeting for all the worthwhile extras that come up in the course of the year but are currently not in our budget, such as funding for board training and development and holiday bonuses for our hardworking staff. From increasing the music funding to allow us to bring in more guest musicians, to starting a lecture series modeled after the Music Mix concert series. Meeting or exceeding our pledge goal for the 2024-2025 fiscal year will allow us to move from strength to strength, expanding our outreach into the community and deepening the life of the congregation in these and other ways. A few weeks ago, when I announced the generous gifts that came to the church following the death of member Joe Rice, I spoke a little about the various ways money comes into our church and how we spend it. That information bears repeating. Pledge income, funds raised from the concert series and the auction, and rental income from our flat, from weddings and other uses of our buildings, and from the candlelight concerts. These monies account for the majority of what we spend on operating expenses each year. Memorial gifts, bequests, and other large donations sometimes go into operating expenses and sometimes go into the endowment fund or the building fund, depending on directions from the donors. Those funds are then used for both long and short-term benefit of the church outside the scope of our general expenses. Like the family in this morning's story and the family in the first of our readings that had savings in the bank downtown and in the crawl space under the house, our church brings in money in more than one way and saves money in more than one way and spends money in more than one way. Indeed, that's one of the reasons I chose a chair for my mother as our story today, because the family spent the mother's wages on everyday expenses and saved up her tips along with spare change for a big expense outside their normal budget, a flower-covered chair big enough for mother and daughter to snuggle in together. I also chose that story because I know what happens in the sequel. The family doesn't toss the big jar into the recycling bin once they've converted the coins into paper money and purchased the chair. They start filling it up again. And when it's full, the narrator is allowed to spend it on something special just for her as a birthday gift. Spoiler alert, she buys a used accordion because she wants to get something the whole family will enjoy. I won't tell you what happens after that, because someday I might want to read you the third book in the series. The point is, we don't stop with one successful stewardship campaign or one auction that amazingly blows by its goal by almost $5,000, or one capital campaign when the time comes for major renovations or repairs. We go right back to filling the jar again for next year's operating expenses, for the next staff expansion, the next brilliant and transformative ministry idea that emerges from the hearts and minds of this congregation. Most years, in fact, I think every other year of my entire ministry, I preach my stewardship sermon on the first day of a pledge drive. This year, I'm batting cleanup. But the message is the same. Money alone is not magic and changes nothing. Money alone won't guarantee that a young woman who marries someone rich will have a happy and fulfilling life. And money alone certainly won't, to reference our second reading, extinguish an absence smoldering like a childhood fever, nor quench an unprotected desire and greed, both wound and knife, nor assuage a failed grief that drives personal or corporate mergers and acquisitions, leveraged buyouts, and hostile takeovers. But money, wed to generosity, given in service of healing a broken world, offered in love, each according to our ability. Then money is magic to restore even a lost radiance beyond limits of our dreaming. May it be so. Amen. We need directions for our closing hymn as well. You will find it in the teal hymnal, number 1024, When the Spirit Says Do. We are going to sing it 4 times. First, when the Spirit says do, then when the Spirit says pledge, then when the Spirit says laugh, because we got to laugh after pledging, and finally, when the Spirit says do. Please rise in body or in spirit. And now, beyond the power of any spoken word, may the Spirit do its persuasive work in our hearts, our minds, and our bodies, that we may go our ways in openness and loved, charged with new creative energy and at peace. Amen.